Hi guys, and welcome to my channel where I share my sewing tips and techniques. Today I want to share how I cut my binding strips and also a couple of ways I mark and join the ends together. Now I've cut out 2-inch strips from the width of my fabric, but whatever width your strips are, this method will still work the same way. First thing we want to do is just open up all the strips and stack them on top of each other with the right sides facing up. Okay, so all the ends here are pretty even. And then I'm also going to twist around the ends. Doesn't matter how you twist it, as long as the right side is facing up, stacked together at the ends again. So we're going to cut this all in one hit, all the ends. Okay. So that's the selvage edge there. So let's get rid of that first. So just draw a straight line there. Cut that off. So all the selvage is gone. Now just grab that top layer and match this edge with the top edge. Fold it right from this very corner there and finger press it. Now that's going to give you a 45-degree angle. I'm just going to chalk it so you can see it on camera. But you would cut through all the layers on that crease. Now to join them, we put right sides together, matching this edge there, but you don't want to put it corner to corner. You can't sew it like that. So just slide this down a little bit, and you want to have from this edge to where it meets about 1/4 of an inch, and same with down here, from this edge to where it meets about 1/4 of an inch, and we'll join all the strips like that. If you're wondering why in the world we join our strips on an angle, it's because if you sew it straight and you fold these strips in half, you're going to get all this bulk in one place, and then by the time you stitch it on the edge of your quilt and fold it over again, all that bulk is in one spot, creating a little bump there. Sometimes the bump's not that bad, but if you join your strips on an angle, when you fold it, the seam allowance spreads out. It's in different places, and when you wrap it around, you can see the center of the seam is here, the other part of the seam is there, and the other end of the seam is over here. So it's all spread out and it creates a smooth join there. I'll just show you on here. This is a straight seam. You can see just the tiniest little bump, and it feels lumpy too. But if you do it on an angle, I don't know if you can see that seam there. It's very smooth. If you run your fingers across it, you can hardly tell there's a seam there. Okay, so we're going to put right sides together, and we're leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So you should have from where the strips meet to that side edge, 1/4 of an inch, and same at the bottom. From where it meets to that side edge should be 1/4 of an inch. And we want to back tack as well. And the most important thing is to sew a very straight line to the other end and back tack. And then grab the end of this strip here and connect it to the next one. Same thing again, right sides together, leaving that 1/4 inch seam. So join all your strips and then cut your threads. You're also going to finger press these open and also trim off from all the sides the little bits that are hanging out. I usually don't press my binding strips in half. I just like to sew it onto the edge and then turn it, because sometimes when you press that sharp crease, it doesn't end up exactly where it needs to be. Now, usually when you come to the end of attaching your binding to your quilt, you have a scenario something like this, where you have all the excess ends of your strips. So usually what I do is I find somewhere close to the middle, and I'll cut off some excess here, just straight. And then this side, I need to overlap it by the width of the strips. So if you look at this here, there's the edge of that strip. If you put a mark there, and you take the end of your strip here, place it on that chalk mark, then we know this is where the overlap is, because that's the width of your strip. If you cut that, now you've got the binding overlapping each other like that. So now you're going to just separate them. This one, open it flat like that. This one, open it flat as well. Tuck this way, and then match up that top edge and the side like so. I've already drawn a line, because what you're going to do now is sew from this corner, straight line, to this corner here. I'm just going to put a couple of pins here. If this was your stitch line, after you finish stitching, you would cut 1/4 of an inch there, press your seams open, and then you'll have perfect measurement to sew that and finish it off. Now, I do my binding slightly different. If you recall, all my strips were already cut on an angle. So when I start to put my binding onto my quilt, I find the center of my longest edge, and then I just put the start of that strip somewhere around there. And then I leave about 6 inches before I start sewing, and then join the binding all around. And then when I come back to the end, I'll leave, about 4 or 5 inches of overlap. Pull this and taut, pull that taut, tuck it in between, let it sit flat. So I'm just going to chalk the angle of the start of the binding onto this side of the strip. And then I'm going to open both of them flat. And continue drawing that line that matches this edge here. Okay, so now I need to give it some seam allowance. Since I can't put seam allowance to this side, I put double seam allowance to this side. So we're sewing 1/4 inch seam, so that means we need 1/4 inch plus 1/4 inch, which is 1/2 an inch. So I'm adding 1/2 an inch to this side. So again, all it is matching that edge and then adding that 1/2 inch seam allowance. So now we can cut this on the second chalk mark, not the first one. So now flip this over, put your right sides together. Remember to leave that 1/4 inch. So from where this joins to the edge is 1/4 inch. And then you're going to stitch a straight line, just like you did when you joined the binding pieces together. Just put a couple of pins here to show you. So stitch, press open, trim off those little bits on the side again, and that'll fit in perfectly across. All you need to do now is just get rid of that little chalk mark. So really simple, no special tools or rulers, not a lot of calculating. It's really fast and there's not a lot of wastage for your binding. So thanks again for watching. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them down below in the comments section. If you found this video useful and you want to help me grow my YouTube channel, please hit the like button and subscribe for more sewing tips. Stay safe and thanks for watching.